I've been a game warden for most of my life, patrolling the dense pine forests of northern Arizona. The rugged terrain, sharp drops into canyons, and endless pine trees became my second home over the years. Most nights, the forest is my sanctuary, a place where I can breathe, clear my head. One October night, that peace shattered. I got a call just before dusk, a report of campfires deep in the backcountry. Strange, I thought, considering the early winter chill and how few folks dared to camp out in these temperatures. Probably rowdy campers, or maybe some out-of-town hunters. I threw on my jacket, grabbed my flashlight, and set off, the sky already dimming with the last of the day's light. I've worked nights out here more times than I can count. The forest has its own pulse after dark, its own secrets, but nothing I hadn't encountered before, or so I thought. An hour in, and I noticed something strange. Silence. No crickets, no owls. Just an empty, suffocating quiet that set my nerves on edge. I tried shaking it off, reminding myself that I'd been here countless times before, but then a scent hit me, one that didn't belong, a mix of decaying leaves and wet fur. I swept my flashlight around, watching the trees stand like silent sentries, unmoving, unyielding. Then I heard it. A soft rustling off to my right. I swung the beam of my flashlight, but there was nothing there. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. That feeling crept into my bones, making me remember stories my grandfather told me as a kid, tales about the skinwalkers. Shapeshifters that hunted those who ventured too far from the safety of the firelight. I took a deep breath. I wasn't about to let old legends shake me. But then, as I turned to keep walking, something appeared at the edge of my light. A coyote. Only something wasn't right. Its eyes, they were too big, almost human. It just stood there, staring, not running off or snarling like a normal animal would. A chill rolled down my spine. "Get out of here!" I yelled, my voice louder than I meant it to be. But the creature didn't budge. It just cocked its head, watching me like it was studying me. Then, as if it had decided something, it turned and slipped back into the shadows. Relieved, I went to move forward. But before I took 2 steps, I saw it again. Just ahead of me, standing in the middle of the path. That's when it hit me. It was leading me somewhere. Against my better judgment, I followed, the flashlight catching glimpses of its shadow as it moved through the trees, always staying just close enough to keep me on its trail. Every time I slowed down or hesitated, it would stop and look back, waiting for me. Eventually, we came to a clearing. The air was different here, colder, unnaturally so. I could see my breath fogging in the light, thick clouds in the freezing night. In the middle of the clearing, a circle of rocks and bones lay in a strange, deliberate pattern. I'd seen enough to know this wasn't a campsite or a hunter's cache. This was something old, something sacred, or cursed. That's when I heard it. A low, rasping breath coming from just behind me. I whipped around, flashlight flailing in the darkness, and the beam landed on something that made my stomach drop. It stood on 2 legs, tall and thin, its skin stretched tight over long, skeletal features. Its eyes, black and hollow, bore into me, and it tilted its head like the coyote had, as if it was trying to understand me or enjoy my fear. I took a step back, feeling the ground shift beneath me, and then I was running, crashing through the trees as branches clawed at my clothes, my arms, my face. My heartbeat pounded in my ears, but somehow I could still hear it following me. Its footsteps were soft, unhurried, as if it knew there was nowhere I could go that it couldn't follow. I didn't look back. I couldn't. If I looked back, I knew I'd see those black eyes right on me, close enough to reach out and drag me down. When I finally burst out of the trees and into the gravel lot of my station, I threw myself inside, slamming the door behind me, panting and shaking as I locked it. I told myself it was over. It had to be. But as I looked down, catching my breath, I noticed something chilling. A single, wet paw print on my boot, larger than any coyote's, with a shape that looked almost human. Since that night, I haven't gone back to those woods alone. And even on calm, quiet evenings, just as the sun dips below the trees, I swear I see a pair of eyes, too large, too knowing, watching me from the shadows, waiting.